Hey everyone, today we'll be doing a chocolate almond nutrition bar. It's vegan, it's good for a keto diet. The only source of sugar is from a little bit of honey I added in there. You could do without that as well. So let's get started. Alright, to get started, we would need some ground cinnamon, some ground flaxseed, some maple syrup. This is completely unsweetened. The main ingredient being the almond butter. I'm taking the creamy kind here. Some wildflower honey, some unsweetened cocoa powder, and some crushed almonds. So take a food processor and we'll be mixing all these ingredients in here. So we take the almond butter first and pour out about half a jar. That should give us enough for say 8 cookies. This almond butter is completely unsweetened. There is no ingredient except raw almonds. You could also prepare the almond butter at home. You could just take whole raw almonds and put them inside a food processor and turn on the food processor till the entire almond paste is created. That is kind of tough to work with. It's really hard to do, and then you have a lot of cleaning afterwards, which is why I just went ahead to the store and bought this ready-made almond butter with no preservatives or sweeteners. It's really sticky, so make sure you get everything in there and don't waste a drop because it's relatively expensive. It's about $10 for this small jar. Once we are done with the almond butter, we will move on to the next ingredient, which is this flaxseed meal. This is again something I just got from Kroger. It's just ground flaxseed, and it is being used in this just to form some kind of a binding agent because we're not using eggs, we're not using tofu or something. We are trying to stick to some basic low carb stuff. Although flaxseed is higher on the carb side, just make sure you use a small amount. Next, we will start flavoring the dish with starting off with some ground cinnamon. I really love cinnamon in the meal. It's a good flavoring agent and it has some health benefits as well. Just pour in as much as you can tolerate as you prefer. Once we are done with the cinnamon, let's throw in the main flavoring agent, which is the chocolate or the unsweetened cocoa powder. Again, since it's unsweetened, you can use as much as required according to your taste and preferences for chocolate. We can also use some maple syrup. Again, that is something that I had got, and I like the flavor of maple in most of my desserts. So this is completely 0 calories. It just has some maple flavoring, water, and basic ingredients. There is no sugar or anything else in here. So you can use this quite liberally. And once we have incorporated all of these ingredients, the next step is to add the final sweetening agent. You can skip over this if you prefer. I really needed some amount of sweetness in this, so I had a honey bottle with me and I just poured in a little bit of that honey in there to add the sweetness. Again, this is completely optional and you can completely skip this over if you're strictly on a keto diet. Once you're done incorporating the honey, close the food processor and let it blend. Once the blending is done, you can take the jar out. One thing I forgot to mention, just blend it on the dough setting or anything that's relatively slow speed, and that will not completely take the life out of it. So you should have some kind of a doughy consistency as shown here. Once you are done with all of that, take all the dough, the almond dough out into any kind of a flat pan or container that you would like to store it in. We will kind of take all of that out and then flatten it with the back of a spoon to form some kind of a cookie base. And once it is completely flattened with a spoon, we need to sprinkle it with some almonds. That's what I prefer as my topping. Alright, now that we are done with that cinematic shot, let's put this in the fridge to set. We will cut it only after it has cooled down. We'll set it for roughly about 20 to 30 minutes. And now it has been 20 to 30 minutes. Let's take it out of the fridge. Use a knife or a pizza slicer like I have used here and chop it up into as many pieces as you'd like. And this is the final product.